Good day, it's April 8th, 2023, Saturday of the Holy Week leading to Easter Sunday. I'm Esmeralda Padilla-Gould and welcome to The Pulse.
And I'm Sam Buban.
Former President Donald Trump made it in history books as the first former president of the United States to be criminally charged. After a New York State grand jury returned an indictment, Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg filed the criminal case in a state court in Manhattan, New York. Trump, accompanied by his lawyers, Susana Chavez and Jota Copina, was arraigned in the Manhattan, New York Supreme Court on Tuesday, April 4th, and pleaded not guilty on 34 counts of falsifying records, a felony in the state of New York. The case stemmed from a 2016 payment of $130,000 hush money to porn star Stormy Daniels. Donald Trump was said to have had a short encounter with Stormy Daniels a few months after his wife Melania Trump just had given birth to their son. The story was about to break in the tabloid National Enquirer when a Trump former lawyer Michael Cohen made a negotiation with Stormy Daniels through the editor-in-chief of the said tabloid that the adult film star was willing to accept $130,000 hush money payment in exchange for her silence, and the story not being published.
Donald Trump, according to his former lawyer Michael Cohen, gave instructions to Cohen to delay the payment until after the election. When the story broke out in the media, Donald Trump was already president. Trump first denied the story when confronted by reporters on Air Force One, the president's plane. Several investigations followed after the story was first told to In Touch magazine about the sexual encounter with Donald Trump in 2011, but the story never got published. The story resurfaced in an interview with CBS program 60 Minutes in 2018 about the threat received from an unknown person in a parking lot in 2011.
What was really the crime here, Uncle Sam?
I'm not a lawyer, but listening to many legal analysts in various media outlets, the crime that was first investigated was a federal crime called campaign finance laws violation. In simple terms, the money paid to Stormy Daniels took place during a campaign period when Trump was running for president. Now, is it a crime to give money to keep something secret? It is not. The money can be called compensation for non-disclosure agreement. But what makes it a federal campaign finance violation is when that money that came from Trump organization, which was used to influence the result of the election and was miscategorized as legal expense, made it a crime. You see, for the sake of our Filipino and Fil-Am audience, election laws in the United States forbids the use of campaign contribution money for personal use, as an example. Another thing is whatever the expense of the campaign had to be reported on quarterly filings of the campaign. Candidates had to show the names of the donors to the campaign and how the money was spent. In the candidates' filing to the FEC, the Federal Election Commission, people had gone to prison for violating these rules. And this payment to Stormy Daniels did not appear in the filing, but instead, the money appeared as legal fees to Michael Cohen. And Michael Cohen, who gave the money to the porn star, was reimbursed by the Trump organization $130,000 as legal fees.
But how does that fall into the category of campaign finance law violation?
Election law experts agree with prosecutors who investigated the case that it became a campaign activity when the candidate do something to contribute to the chances of winning or losing the election. If the story broke during the campaign about Trump's behavior as a family man, he may not have won the election. At least among women voters would have voted against him.
So, the criminal charges against the former president in the New York Supreme Court is not the federal crime, but a state crime, particularly by misrepresenting the expense that was paid to Stormy Daniels. The indictment lists 34 counts of falsifying records. Now, will these developments affect his bid for another term as president, Uncle Sam?
It could. He's raising a lot of money, though, from the MAGA cult every time he gets investigated. But to be clear, there are still so many criminal charges he may be facing in other states, like Georgia, for trying to interfere with the federal election there in 2020. Fannie Willis, the district attorney, already have finished a report by the special grand jury of Fulton County investigating his phone call to Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger. And what about the special counsel Jack Smith investigation of the January 6th event? Those things are coming.
Wow, oh boy, that could mean Trump is facing multiple fronts of legal woes during the campaign season, granting he doesn't quit the race.
And by the way, the criminal trial that will take place in Manhattan, a Supreme Court, is not what your usual sense of a Supreme Court, like the Philippine Supreme Court or the U.S. Supreme Court. In New York, they call their equivalent of like Clark County Superior Court as Manhattan area Supreme Court. Just to replace the word superior with supreme, just to make it clear to you.
We are going to take a commercial break. Please stay with us.
We use headphones as a part of our everyday lives. Whether we're at work, getting exercise, meditating, in transit, studying, practicing, or relaxing.
Hi, I'm Ryan Sway, the founder of Aircom. I would like to introduce the world's first wireless airflow audio earbuds. As a festival and a concert junkie, I really enjoy the live experience of being there and feeling the music. When we started developing Airflow, our goal was to reproduce that live experience using earbuds.
The problem with traditional headphones is that the speakers are located inside of the earpiece, literally giving you centimeters before the audio hits your eardrum.
What Aircom is doing, they're the first company to actually address the fact that there needs to be a space involved associated with having the sound waves expand fully.
The difference between traditional headphones and Aircom audio is that the air tube gives you 8 times more space, allowing the sound waves to fully develop before they actually hit your eardrums. And this gives it a much more live, natural sound, just like in a recording studio.
Real nice that someone actually addressed the physics associated with how sound comes out.
The challenge we had was to create an earbud with enough airspace for the sound to fully develop and breathe. Unfortunately, traditional earbuds are about the size of a jelly bean, and there's just not enough airspace. However, that changed when we developed Airflow Audio. Airflow uses an air tube to deliver 6 to 8 times more airspace than traditional earbuds. The end result is a true live listening experience, just like you're at a festival or a concert. We also added magnets to the back of the earpieces so you can wear it around your neck when you're not using it.
Being that the drivers are 8 inches from the earpiece, the magnets do not affect the integrity of the sound at all.
The orange line represents the frequency transmitting through the wire to the speaker, which then converts to the blue sound wave that develops more as it travels up the air tube, producing a balanced, full body and live listening experience.
Another really cool feature is that these earbuds are sweat-proof and water-resistant because they're coated with a super hydrophobic nanotechnology. So now you can be on a skateboard or riding a motorcycle and listen to music as if you were watching a live show or actually in a recording studio.
We're coming to you for help in bringing these unparalleled earbuds to market.
Welcome back to The Pulse. We're going to a story that can bring you some smiles. Vogue magazine, Philippine edition, featured the oldest star to be on the cover of this prestigious fashion magazine. 103 years old WHANG-OD had unseated Academy Award-winning actress Judi Dench as the oldest star on Vogue's cover. Judi Dench was on the cover of Vogue's British edition when she was 85 years old. WHANG-OD became famous as more and more tourists who are tattoo enthusiasts discovered the skillful tattoo artist from the mountain village of Kalinga in the Philippines Cordillera. WHANG-OD, a practitioner of the 1,000 years old art of tattooing called palpag method, has been doing tattoos to the villagers and tourists since she was only 16 years old, and encourages her granddaughters and young people in the village to practice and preserve the art. We were able to research for some videos of WHANG-OD and her art form, and here's one from a Palestinian-Israeli blogger, and see WHANG-OD in her art.
In the jungles of the Philippines, there is a woman who is 103 years old. She is the oldest tattoo artist in the world, and she doesn't use a tattoo machine, and she doesn't let you choose your own tattoo. Who is this woman, and why do tourists beg her to get a tattoo? When I was in the Philippines, I met a lot of tourists who came to the country not to see the beaches, but to get a tattoo from the 103-year-old lady. So I thought to myself, how good could this woman be? Well, we chased her down to tell you her story. She lives 2 days away from the capital. Not 2 hours, not 2 flights, 2 full days. So we flew all the way to the north of the country. Then we had to get on a jeep and trek for another 1 full day. Until the next morning, we arrived here in the village of Buscalan, where we found WHANG-OD. The way she makes tattoos is unlike any other. First, you do not choose your own design. You have to pick from these. Each of them has a different meaning. This means protection, this means direction, and this means long life. WHANG-OD also makes her own ink out of charcoal and water. She uses her own needles out of thorns from a tree. She even has her own way of drawing by tapping the tattoo on your skin like this.
Siyang hakan aman na nanon sa duman datu nan matayan si titiad kasta tidala piksa mansakit mi na tan ako siya kamataya saon.
And even though she's 100 years old, she can tap really fast as 100 taps a minute. And this one-of-a-kind tattoo will only cost you $20. But it's not just unique or beautiful, it's also a link to a lost history. 1,000 years ago, there used to be more tattoo makers like WHANG-OD, but they didn't give tattoos to tourists. They gave tattoos to village men and women to wish them good luck in battle and good luck in marriage.
Yan sa ukali sa idi, way sa daidi. Nung pumapatay ka, sitot ikabir ng datu. Ilugluki sa sadsan, ngay mantititi. Ingka-ingkaran na. Sadu datugara san huyun apakardak ilam lagwing.
Yes, WHANG-OD was actually the first woman in her village to become a tattoo maker.
Now that's really for the brave and those who really want it. WHANG-OD is really so cute at age 103 years old. That's a living proof of living with nature promotes longevity.
The election for the Wisconsin Supreme Court has gained national attention this week as a liberal judge was elected to Wisconsin Supreme Court, handing the control of the state Supreme Court to liberal, pro-democracy justices in the majority. Democratic-backed Milwaukee County Judge Janet Prostasiewicz defeated former Supreme Court Judge Dan Kelly, a judge who aligned himself with election deniers, according to reporting by The Guardian. The election of Judge Protasiewicz to the Wisconsin Supreme Court delivered a narrow majority for the next 10 years of the liberals to the Supreme Court, who has been in conservative control for 15 years. This Supreme Court election has been most expensive Supreme Court election in the state, drawing $45 million in contributions to both sides. The election was also deemed extremely consequential for pro-abortion rights and election maps. It will now be difficult for Republicans to gerrymander districts that are mostly with Democratic population. The record spending smashed the previous record of previous elections of $10 million. Many wealthy donors and groups raised $9 million for Protasiewicz versus $6 million for Don Kelly. But this does not include direct spending by outside groups in ads and other activities relating to the election, bringing the total to about $45 million, according to Wiz Politics analysis. This election has also seen massive mobilization from young voters, women voters concerned about abortion rights, young voters who are concerned about gun violence. This allowed Judge Janet Protasiewicz to win by a big 11% advantage over conservative Judge Dan Kelly.
The imprint of the MAGA trademark in Republican-controlled states that has legislatures in Republican control, like the state of Florida and the state of Tennessee, driving these places looking like a fascist state. The essence of democracy continued to deteriorate in these states, according to many political analysts. And now the Tennessee legislature is in the negative attention around the country. The Republican-controlled Tennessee legislature voted to expel 3 Democrats who staged a protest on the legislative floor, reacting to recent mass shooting in Nashville, Tennessee. The 3 Democratic lawmakers were begging the legislature to pass some gun control legislation. This move has been highly criticized and may be declared unconstitutional by the courts. It is a sad situation in this country that almost all Republican lawmakers are beholden to single-issue voters who favor unchecked gun ownership versus the 75% of the voters in this country who are for gun control. We will be right back after this commercial break, so please stick with us.
With the many recent changes and focus on immigration law, now more than ever is the time to seek the help you need from an attorney you can trust. As an immigrant myself, I know the many difficulties and hardships involved in immigrating to this great country. With more than 10 years of experience in handling immigration cases, our firm can provide the necessary answers and solutions to your needs. Call Calderon Law today so we can work together to help you get the peace of mind you and your loved ones deserve.
Pure Medical Equipment provides top-notch quality medical supply equipment. Whether to rent or buy, Pure Medical Equipment and Supplies has it all.
Pure Medical Equipment is committed to serve and give back to Southern Nevada.
We deliver medical supplies and rentals to your door.
Welcome back to The Pulse.
The Biden administration is jump-starting our long dormant foreign policy in Africa. Vice President Kamala Harris made a 7-day visit and talked with heads of state in several countries in the African continent, which included a stop in Ghana, Tanzania, and Zambia. The Vice President, who has African and South Asian bloodlines, went there as a way of mending relationship with the African continent and for developing a new strategic foreign policy for Africa. Black voters in America are also of strategic importance for the 2024 re-election run for President Biden. This is my own commentary. I believe there has never been more urgent time to make our presence in Africa than now, as China is gaining so much ground and influence in Africa. If we don't do it now, make our presence and alliance with African countries, we will wake up one day that every country in Africa are aligned to China, and it will be too late. The threat of military dominance of China worldwide is real. China now has a military base in Djibouti, Africa, and a more recent one in Equatorial Guinea. In the Philippines, while the international community were behind the Philippines over our right for the Spratly Islands in South China Sea, closest to Luzon, China built a formidable military base, and the Philippine government stood by and did nothing during the last administration. Now our country is within their short-range missiles. Did nothing in spite of the international community willing to back up the Philippines. That was very sad affairs of what happened to the Philippine territory.
In Nevada, U.S. Senator Jackie Rosen has announced that she will be seeking re-election in the state that has always been a battleground state. That was a welcome news for the Democrats. The 2024 election will be a tough year for the Democrats to maintain control of the U.S. Senate in the 119th Congress. What makes 2024 election a tough one for Senate Democrats is that they will be defending several seats in red states like Montana, Ohio, and West Virginia. Although Nevada has become a purple state, it looks as tough as the 2022 U.S. Senate election in Nevada, whereby Senator Catherine Cortez Masto won by a narrow margin. Nevada has 2 U.S. senators who are Democrats and are both women.
Speaker Kevin McCarthy of the United States House of Representatives had met with the Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen in Los Angeles, California. McCarthy, the Republican House Speaker who is from Bakersfield, California, met with the Taiwanese leader in spite of protests by China, dubbing it as an act of provocation by America. President Tsai vowed to defend the status quo of Taiwan as a thriving, free, and open society. In her speech, she also thanked the United States for its support, saying Taiwan is not alone on their quest for peace and stability in the region. Many security analysts believe China may be preparing to invade Taiwan and take the island province by force. Until President Reagan embarked on the One China policy, Taiwan had claimed itself as a Republic of China. But its recent strategic importance to the Western democracies is significant now that China had claimed the entire South China Sea in the world map as a sea belonging to them, and indicating attempt at military supremacy in Asia and the Pacific. The sea between Taiwan and the Philippines is a very strategic sea lane that world commerce uses, and a possible blockade by China can result in World War III if China takes the sea lane, according to some military analysts.
Tomorrow, April 9th, the entire Christian world celebrates Easter Sunday, an important day in the Christian calendar as the day of resurrection of the Lord Jesus Christ. To children in the United States, they look forward to Easter egg hunt. In the Russian Romanov royalty tradition, an Easter egg fashioned by the known French jeweler Fabergé will be ordered by the Tsar for the family. This has been known as the Fabergé egg. So folks, happy Easter Sunday, and kids, go hunt for those Easter eggs. That's it for today's broadcast. I'm Esmeralda Padilla-Gould. Thank you for watching.
And I'm Sam Buban, wishing you all of you a blessed Easter Sunday celebration, and God bless your week.